This is Cutting Down the Nets, Sweet 16. I survived Las Vegas. I'm back home. It's hard to adjust to real life. But Vegas, those 4 days in Vegas are always special to me. What's different then than during the rest of the year is I feel like it's the best environment for my model, for Paddy. You have neutral sites. You eliminate the spot or situation associated with gambling. You have tons of public attention, so lines can get a little softer. And yeah, I know that I'm committing to 4 days of drinking too much, yelling at the TV, just primal middle-aged male urges, just all at once. And compare that to like trying to sweat a 20 game slate, you know, while you're playing with your kids or trying to help your wife get dinner ready. It's just not the same. So it's nice to devote 100% of my attention to basketball for those 4 days. So overall, we did pretty good. Officially for NCAA tournament, Thursday and Sunday, I was 24-17. It felt like every day I was down and then would win the remaining 3 games or 3 of the last 4 and book a W for the day. And that makes it kind of hard to feel like you're in control. I always felt like going in the end, it's like, I don't know if we're going to get there. And then we got there. And that just kept repeating. Now, if I can win early, I can get a little more aggressive, which would have been a little more fun. But hey, good year. I do want to talk real quickly about what some of that looked like from Paddy perspective and why I played some things and why I didn't play some things. So this first section here is Thursday and Friday games, and they're sorted by value. Value being the difference between Paddy and the actual point spread. If you didn't turn off any previous videos when I said St. Peter's could come within 6 of Kentucky, you would have saw that was the biggest value play on the slate. But they're dangerous. I mean, shot quality had that at 25. Look, I get it. So what you see is that one worked out. But then Yale and Purdue, I did not play. And the reason I didn't play had nothing to do with that game per se. It was more seeing how Georgia State almost gave it all away in like 15 minutes to Gonzaga, and seeing how Norfolk, who I viewed as a real competitive 16 seed, could hang for like 6 minutes, and then it was just woodshed. Gave me a lot of pause with Yale. Gave me a lot of pause with Wright State, who ended up covering. Gave me a lot of pause with CS Fullerton, who ended up covering. Gave me pause with Chattanooga. Like, just started to run scared after seeing Georgia State nearly melt it, and then Norfolk just get waxed. Like, any game where I had a big number and Paddy was showing value, it was just tough to click the button. Like, that Arizona game was 21.5, had 16.5. Wright State's defense is sketch, and I could just see the 14-0 run where it's like, okay, now we're down 26. That escalated quickly. So just frustrating. But overall, Paddy got real hot at the bottom, and you'll see that I sat a couple out. So overall, Paddy was 20-11-1 with the Davidson as a push. I personally have no regrets on like San Francisco and Jacksonville State and Delaware. Iowa and Loyola Chicago, to be that good of shooting teams, struggle that bad. It just happens. It's frustrating. But like if Lucas Williamson's, like a 93% free throw shooter, making like 1 out of 7, tough scene, man. All right. This was second round action. So sorted by variance. Again, you can kind of see at the top, did really well. And that stayed consistent throughout. But again, winning some of these smaller edges, I don't know if that is bookable or not. I typically was sitting them out or betting less. My brother just bet it blindly, and he made more money than I did. And he has more faith. I'm such a coward. So that's kind of how that shook out. Let's look at Sweet 16. We'll start at the top. Texas Tech and Duke. Paddy has Tech by about 5, currently laying 1. It's offense versus defense. Texas Tech saw what happens when you unload your clip against Montana State. You're out of bullets. And for them to survive a game where they didn't make a shot for like the final 8 minutes of the game shows you what type of floor a team like that has. Houston, also in the same category of just can ugly it across the finish line if you have to. Iowa, not in that category. I mean, not in that category. They had an off shooting day, and they, they didn't have a floor to carry them. They kept giving up bucket after bucket, and it can be frustrating. So I like Tech here, almost 4 points of value. I like that. Houston, Arizona. This is 1.5. I don't know what this line will do. I mean, all analytics have Houston favored, but it's still Arizona. You'd think there'd be some money coming in, but it was too early. It's 1.5. I haven't bet it yet, just because I don't want to get caught with a bad line. But I keep losing value on Houston. But when I have this much buffer there, I'm willing to see if I can squeeze out a little more, and then could always money line it if I had to. Arkansas, Gonzaga was 8.5. Just hit 9 this afternoon. That's a gray game for me. I'm just not seeing much there at the moment. Michigan Villanova. This one's a little thin. 2.2 points of value. Favoring the Michigan side, but shot quality has Nova by a little bit more. North Carolina, I prefer over UCLA. Would help if Jaquez sat. That kid's a baller, man. He's just like a basketball player. I respect what he does. Iowa State, Miami. I have Miami by 5.5. Line is 2.5. Some notes on Iowa State. Game 1. Hunter, their point guard. God bless the kid. Congratulations. We're proud of you. His shot selection, knowing situation, clock, score, I thought at times was just egregious against LSU. But hey, they went in. I mean, just forget you're a 28% three-point shooter for just a little bit of time and then hit like 11 of them. I mean, what do you do? And then game 2, Gabe Kalsher hitting, I think, 15 straight mid-range jumpers falling away from the basket. Look, when Iowa State's offense does well, they're tough because they're elite defensively. They turn you over, they packet it. Like, it's a good defensive team. But those are 2 examples of why Iowa State is not a good offensive team, and hope we get some regression there. That's my 2 cents on Iowa State. You can tell I'm handling it well. Providence, Kansas. So this was 7 at Bet Online, and Circa had 7.5, and a bunch of other books had 7.5. And I consider Circa to be more of like a leader. So like if you are sitting at a plus 2.5 at your book, and you see that Circa's at 1.5, I would bet that rather quickly, because it seems like the other books follow Circa, and Circa is definitely like a market leader. St. Peter's, Purdue. Let's talk about the shot quality number. I did look into why these shot quality numbers were so bad in the St. Peter's games, and ultimately adjusted efficiency has won out so far. But what happens is shot quality is grading their defense as like a 105. That's what's leading to that minus 26.4 there. And their adjusted defensive efficiency is more like 0.91, 0.92, something like that. So, I mean, look, I love your shot quality, but I think it does a better job on offensive shot selection, maybe not defensive shot selection. So overall, that's showing as lots of value again. So for the Sweet 16, this is what I'm seeing right now. Playing 7 games, sitting out 1. Texas Tech, Houston, North Carolina, Miami, Kansas, St. Peter's, and Michigan. I have only bet North Carolina and Kansas just out of kind of monitoring the lines and where I thought they would go, which feels great after, 4 days of just having to accept what other line was available at Circa while I was there. So sitting out Gonzaga at the moment, we'll see what happens with that. I'll monitor it and make a decision. As I add stuff, it'll be on BetStamp. I don't know what I'm waiting on with some of these other numbers. It's more like, really, no money is going to come in on Duke? No money is going to come in on Arizona? Can't we get Miami back down a little bit? Can people give up on St. Peter's? We get to 13 and a half. So a lot of this is just fear-based for me. And I grabbed 2 that I felt pretty confident about. And then we'll be grabbing the others. Just got to time it and hopefully time it right. NIT action. Look, I know. But Vandy plus 4. So that's not bad. Xavier's laying 4, and I actually have Vandy by 5 points there, so pretty significant difference. St. Bonaventure, Virginia's tight. I mean, it's close, but I think there's an edge for Bonnie there. And then Washington State, again, likely comes down to 3-point shooting, but they have had um, a decent game recently without making a bunch of threes. So let's see what happens there. But I had Wazoo by 2.5, and they're getting 3.5. So ultimately, this is cutting down the nets. This is the Sweet 16. All the spreadsheets you've seen will be live in the description of this video. Thanks for stopping.